Hello again. So I think this video is supposed to be about chapters 5 through 8. My name is Miriam Fawaz again, for those of you who don't know me. Um, so chapters 5 through 8 was actually interesting in the sense of nonverbal communication. For example, like I just did something nonverbal when I was talking. Like I put my hair behind my ear. And that's kind of like I guess you could say it's kind of like a thinking tactic. Oh, like I'm thinking about what I want to say, and so like one of the nonverbal communications would be, oh, like let me fidget with something. Um, so there's that, and there's also a lot of information on listening and receiving, and that just because you're hearing what someone is saying, it doesn't mean that you are listening to them, and that just because you can repeat back what someone has said to you doesn't necessarily mean that you are actually processing what they said to you or thinking about it. I know I've done that before. Like a person will be like, "Oh, are you listening to me?" I'll just be like, "Yeah, you were talking about this, this, and that." I can list the things, but I know they were looking for more feedback, more interaction, less zoning out, more zoning in. So when it comes to nonverbal communication, I actually found this very interesting because I come from a culture where we use our hands a lot, hand gestures, like move back and forth and back and forth, trying to express something. And so I became I guess you could say I became more aware of when someone's using nonverbal communication after reading about it. And I realized that like one of the things that I know one of my friends do is that they'll like when they're trying to explain a point, they'll say something like they'll say the point, but they'll also use their hands like this. And there's that. And I realize that with myself, when I'm trying to express something outwardly, like I'll use my hand gestures like that, but if I'm talking about myself, I'll do the reverse to express something inwardly. So there's that aspect of nonverbal communication. It's actually quite intriguing to see that we don't really have to say much verbally in order for the other person to know what we're thinking. And just one of like the smallest things, like if they're not paying attention to what you're saying, or if they're just nodding and saying but looking or doing something else, it's you can tell that they're not really interested in what you're saying. And I've actually experienced that with others. They've done that to me, but I know I've done that to others too. So there's that. And when it comes to, I think listening and receiving and nonverbal communication can go hand in hand, because you can show someone you're listening by, for example, tuning into what they're saying, like leaning in or looking directly at their eyes, or scrunching your eyebrows together like that. It looks really bad. But that is, like, I mean, I know some people would be like, oh, or like, what are you thinking about? Like when you're doing that, like, you're actually thinking about this, or so they would always like expect some kind of feedback because they would think that I'm actually listening to them, and I would be. But if like I'm looking around or turning away or just saying yeah, but then not really communicating that through like my eyes, then you're using both nonverbal communication and you're also not listening. So there's that. But yeah, no, chapters 5 through 8 were very interesting when it comes to how people communicate, and that again, like you don't really have to say that much in order for a person to know what you're saying. You show it. I know one of the nonverbal communications that I used to hear all the time was, oh, like if a guy likes you or whatever, he'll have like his feet pointed towards you, which is, I think, is ridiculous. But I know a lot of people follow that. Like, oh, like look at his feet. Like, are they like, or is his step matching you? Like when you're walking, is he like walking the same pace as you are? So that's just a funny little quirk, I guess, that I remember from nonverbal communications as I was growing up here. But yeah.